Hello, this is Derek Packard with BusinessHangouts.net, and we're here doing another business hangout with a familiar face in Business Hangouts. It's Debbie Miller from Phases Accounting in Colorado Springs. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
Doing good. So today, what I want to do on this hangout is talk about individual tax preparation. We already did a hangout on business tips for business tax preparation, which you can see online. This one is focused on individuals. And I know for myself, my wife and I, we have a sub S, and Debbie is actually our accountant. And we, of course, have to file a corporate tax return and an individual tax return. And Debbie's really helped make that an easy process over the years. So Debbie, first thing I wanted to talk about is just from a personal point of view, could you give an overview why individuals should work with a tax planner like yourself versus doing the tax themselves, let's say?
Sure. There's a lot of different things that come into play on income taxes that you may not know. And we do about 1,100 tax returns every year and have seen just about everything. It also, if you have an audit, you have somebody who's going to represent you at no additional charge in that audit. And IRS people talk to us a lot differently than they would talk to you. They like to use intimidation tactics and ask questions that get you flustered. And they know they're not supposed to do that, but they can get away with it with you. They wouldn't be able to get away with it with me.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good to know. Is there, from the standpoint of say, Phases and a H&R Block or another big box type franchise, what about the differences there?
Well, the biggest difference and the common misperception is that if you come to Phases or another tax preparer, now I can't talk for all tax preparers, but if you come to Phases, people think, oh, they're a small firm, they're going to be way, way more expensive than H&R Block. And in most cases, we're much less expensive. We are privately owned. I own the company. We don't have to pay royalties or franchise fees to anyone. So we try to keep our rates reasonable for you. And we also stand behind what we do. I've been in business since 1987. I'm an enrolled agent. If you go to one of the big box stores, you're probably going to be having your taxes done by somebody who went to the 8-week training course. If you drive by those places now, they have signs up that say, learn to prepare taxes. And so you may be getting a guy doing your taxes who's a plumber during the day and trying to do your taxes at night. And if it was me and it was my money, I would definitely pay a professional.
Okay, that's good. Now, from the standpoint of what's happening now on the internet, there's a lot of excellent tax preparation software like TurboTax would be one example. What's your 2 cents on that?
I think TurboTax is a great program if you are working for somebody and you have one W-2 and you don't own a house. So if you're going to do a Form 1040-EZ, that's a great way to get your taxes done very cheaply, although our fees are very reasonable on those as well. Your chances of having an audit on that is very slim. But if you have a small business or you own a house or you're an employee who drives their car around or you have a lot of rental properties, then TurboTax is not really designed for that, even though those forms are available. It's not going to ask you the intuitive questions that we would ask you as a tax preparer to make sure you're getting the most deduction that you can. Additionally, TurboTax has a little thing in the top corner that says what your refund is, and people like to play with that. They try this and it makes their refund smaller, so they go, oh, I'm not going to do that, or vice versa, and they manipulate their refund to get a bigger refund, and then 3 years later they have an audit and they have to pay all that money back plus penalties and interest. We wouldn't let that happen.
So you're telling me with that little window, human nature being what it is, and I know I probably would do this, is you try to click certain buttons to get the refund higher, not knowing that you're actually breaking the law because you're taking deductions you shouldn't or something like that.
Exactly.
I think that's funny. Okay, well, let's talk about personal tax tips for 2015 What kind of things are important for people to know for this year?
Well, the biggest part of tax planning and deductions is timing, and that's what we're going to really talk about today. So the first thing would be, how can you postpone income so that you don't have to pay tax on it at all? Now, if you're an employee, there's only a couple ways that you can do that, and your employer has to be agreeable as well. So if you're an employee, you could ask your employer to defer your income till January 1st. It's going to mean for the employer, he has less deduction, but it's going to mean for you, you don't have to pay income tax on that till next year. So that's one strategy. The other strategy would be if you are going to get a bonus. A lot of times people want those Christmas bonuses, and they can be sizable. I had a client in my office the other day, and he was going to get a bonus, a year-end bonus that they would pay out on December 31st for $20,000. Well, that's going to change his tax significantly, and had we not discussed that and he brought that to my attention, we might have planned differently. So we're just going to tell his boss, give us that on January 1st and everything will be good.
Okay, so Deb, so the principle there is that you have, people need to understand there's 12 months in a year, and the money's coming in every month, hopefully. If not, it's coming in periodically. Depending on how you're doing at the end of the year and paying your bills and keeping up with things, if you have extra cash, just deferring it to January means it's totally out of your 2015 tax return. It doesn't show up as income that year. Is that right?
Exactly. And a lot of people will get paid on December 31st, right? So what's one day going to matter to your personal household budget? It's not going to matter that much at all, but it could make a significant thousands and thousands of dollar difference on your income taxes.
Okay, excellent. What else have we got?
So you also can, if you're able to itemize deductions, then you can try to lump them together. So perhaps you do large charitable contributions. A lot of people wait and they don't make their donation to Goodwill, or they forget about it. If you are going to be able to itemize and you're thinking about giving things away in January, why not do it in December instead? And that'll help you to get a bigger deduction in 2015.
Okay, that makes sense.
Also, with the business one, we talked about using your credit card to help you. There is a lot of nonprofits that would allow you to make your donation with your credit card. So you could charge your large donation to your favorite charity, that if they would take a credit card for that donation, and you don't have to pay your credit card bill till 2016, you'd still be able to take that deduction in 2015. So timing those donations or trying to use a credit card, that's a great choice.
Okay. What about, I know a big question for me is the Obamacare and the health care issues that have come down the pike there. Has there been any new changes in that, or any new developments?
There sure have, and this one is killer, and I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but I am going to just tell you the down and dirty. Last year, if you didn't have a qualified health plan, you got penalized 1% of your income. This year, it's 3%. So look at numbers. Let's say last year you got a penalty of $400. This year, just because they changed the penalty rate, it's going to be $1,200. So that's killer. And right now is open enrollment. So if you don't have health insurance, you should go to your state-run health insurance portal and figure out whether or not that's going to be beneficial for you.
Now, I know in Colorado, a lot of those state exchanges have gone bankrupt, is my understanding. I think Colorado, here where we are, is on the verge of that.
Yeah,
do you know anything about options if those state exchanges aren't working?
Yeah, there's no options, and that's the problem with the healthcare law that they've put into place. Because if you're low income and you needed that, and now all of a sudden you don't have any, you have to scramble and get yourself something. Otherwise, you're going to be subject to that penalty. So let's take a $1,200 penalty. If you're in Colorado and you were with the Colorado OP, which is the exchange that you got onto last year, if it went bankrupt and you're missing 3 months worth of health insurance, then you have $300 penalty out of that $1,200 penalty. And it's not even your own fault. But that's the world that we're living in now. So I'm sorry.
Wow. That's incredible that they're literally punishing people for not complying, but then when you can't comply, you still get punished. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, well, actually, you did comply, right? You went and did what they said to do, and they went bankrupt. And now you're not in compliance, and it's no fault of your own. So hopefully the Congress will see the flaw in their ways and fix that. If there's any congressmen who are going to come and get mad at me, my name is Rita.
Okay, now on that as well, now when you're buying now, even in November, December, are you getting the credit for that for all of this year, or are you only getting the month or two that you had it in terms of penalty?
I'm sorry. The open enrollment period that you're signing up for right now is for 2016. So if you don't have health insurance right now, you're kind of out of luck. You're going to get that penalty no matter what, because you're only allowed to get health insurance during open enrollment, and open enrollment for 2015 was last year, November, December, January. So you're just
Wow.
kind of SO,
It's incredible. It's like all the cards are stacked against you. Okay,
yeah.
well, is there any other things we can do to minimize, hopefully offset some of that Obamacare penalty that some of us might be getting?
There sure is. Let's go back to whether if you're going to itemize your deductions. If you own a house, you could prepay your property tax. So that's spending money to save money, but it is a way that you could reduce your taxes by having more expenses on your Schedule A. If you are making estimated tax payments for your state tax, a lot of elderly people, a lot of self-employed people have to make estimated income tax payments. Your state tax that you pay in is deductible on your federal tax. So if you prepay some of that for 2016, if you prepaid in December, that's going to get you a bigger deduction. You might also—
What I'm hearing, Deb, is that any way you could, if you've got disposable income or any amount of income that's not committed already, if you can find ways to prepay things for this year, then that becomes an expense for this year.
Right. And my theory is, you can save taxes two ways. You can either spend money to save money on taxes, or you can save money to save money on taxes. So your next choice would be, if you're not going to want to prepay those expenses, is do things that are going to maximize your retirement. So either increase your 401k deduction that you have with your employer. You can max those out. Remember, you're not limited to what they match, okay? A lot of employers only match 3%, so a lot of employees only contribute 3%. That's good, but you can do up to 25% of your income into a 401k, and so that's saving money for yourself to save money on your taxes. In my opinion, that's a better choice, especially if you don't, if you have this income that you don't need to have.
Right. Now, what I think important thing, a side note I want to bring up here is that we're doing these business hangouts, and you're have been a tax preparation expert in Colorado Springs for over 20 years. You have several thousand clients that you've worked with, but over the last few years, you've started taking clients from other states because of what's happening online. So just talk about that for a minute.
Sure. We can do taxes for any state. We can do taxes for people that are deployed. The internet has made the world a very small place. We have a website that you can upload documents in a secure area where you and I are the only ones that have access to them. We can talk via Skype or phone or email, and exchange documents back and forth. A lot of times, even my clients in Colorado, I don't see them. I have clients who I've never even met that live maybe 2 blocks from my office, but they don't come in because we're able to do everything via the internet, and it's completely secure.
That's incredible. It really is a huge plus with the internet. So as a Colorado Springs tax provider, you can help basically any individual, any small business in any state, as long as they work online, and that's all very secure now. Is that correct?
It's very, very secure. And even if you don't have internet, well, if you didn't have internet, you wouldn't be watching this Google Hangout. But maybe your friend told you about it, or you have an elderly parent. We can do things via FedEx, or we can mail documents back and forth as well.
Okay. All right. Well, are there any other final tips, Deb, for 2015 filing?
The last big tip I would say is if you're going to be buying or selling stocks or mutual funds, if you have any kind of investment income, a good way to maximize those things, some clients have very large loss carry forwards from when the stock market took a dump a couple years ago. If you've got stocks that are high and you're going to have a gain on those stocks, you can sell them before the end of the year and take that gain against all the losses that you have and pay no tax on that gain and get your money out of the market if that's something that you want to do.
Okay. All right, well, we've covered a lot of ground, but there's a lot of great stuff there. Any final things for people, like maybe what are the pros and cons to filing an extension, that sort of thing?
Well, an extension is a good thing. There's a lot of white myths out there about an extension. So one thing an extension does for you is extends your time to file your tax return. If you're going to owe taxes, filing an extension does not give you an extension of time to pay. So it doesn't help you there. However, if you're trying to come up with money to fund your IRA, or if you've got investments where the companies send you your K-1s really late, it'd be much better to file an extension than it would be to have to do an amendment later on.
Okay. Well, thanks very much, Debbie, for sharing all those tips with us. I'm going to jump over to your website real quick here for folks so they can see it. It's at phasesaccounting.com. And again, you can go online and actually schedule an appointment with Debbie. You can subscribe to her newsletter, which is always full of helpful information. You can actually pay even your bill online or become a new client, schedule an appointment where, Deb, those are no charge at first appointment, right?
Right. We'll offer you a free 1-hour consultation, and it will be with me if you request me, or one of my highly trained enrolled agents who work for me. We have 2 offices. We have 9 people working here, and we want to help you get the good information, which is why we offer that free consultation.
Excellent. And what's this thing on the website, the client login? What's that about?
If you become a client, that's the portal area where you would upload your documents that are secure.
Okay, so that's how you can actually work with people online, so to speak.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, thanks very much, everyone, for taking part in this Business Hangout. I'm Derek Packard, and it's been a pleasure talking to Debbie again. We've covered individual tax tips for you in preparation for this tax year. Also, we have another video on business tax tips if you're a small business person. So between those 2, hopefully we can help you save a few hundred or a few thousand dollars this year. And I know as a small business person myself, that can make a big difference. So thanks very much for being part of this Google Hangout.